Yeah, so we'll get started. So obviously this year there was a big decrease in the number of break-ins around Columbia during spring break. Not something we've really been used to seeing. Was there a specific reason that you guys saw for that, or was it kind of just a fluke scenario?
Sure. I mean, I can't speculate on what the specific cause would be for the decrease in burglaries. Clearly, we're excited that there was a decrease in burglaries.
Right.
I would like to think that, having our community outreach unit could have helped this year. We have a lot of officers out in the field doing, just knock and talks with their residents in their strategic neighborhoods. And that's changed from last year, but as far as saying that that's the reason, I wouldn't go as far as say that, because crime rates regularly fluctuate.
Right. You said that was a change from last year. Is that just a break-specific type ordeal that you guys instituted for this year?
Are you familiar with the community outreach unit?
To an extent, but
Sure.
if you could elaborate on it, that
Definitely.
would be wonderful.
The community outreach unit is a unit that was generally created in a kind of a different mindset about a year ago. So May of 2015, we had a 2-person unit, and they originally had began at Douglas Park, and then that was expanded to kind of go to all of the hotspot areas in Columbia where we were seeing increases in different crimes, and they would work in building relationships with the neighbors in those residential neighborhoods. From there, it expanded in October 2015 to a 6-person unit, and so now we have identified as a city 3 strategic neighborhoods that we're going to focus our efforts on. So we have 3 teams of 2, and they spend their entire days working in those neighborhoods, talking with the residents, responding to calls in their strategic neighborhoods, and just really building those relationships and open lines of communication so that maybe we're made aware of crimes that could occur prior to them occurring.
Right. So did you guys institute that to just try and make the city more safe during these times? What was the reason that made you guys do that?
Well, if you look nationwide, community policing is really the policing model that every department is headed towards.
Right.
We want to be able to get out and to talk to officers. The day of just officers going and, taking care of criminals has really changed, and it's a matter of getting out, being able to know people, and being proactive on the approach to policing rather than just reactive.
And do you feel that has been, have you seen a significant difference before and then after doing that?
Well, we just started. I mean, again, that's only been in full effect since the beginning of March. That's when we actually had all 3 teams in their areas. So I think that there's still a lot of time will tell. But I do know that just in stories that the officers send me from the community outreach unit, they have a lot of really positive interactions. They're going into our schools. They're making differences with those kids, so the kids don't just see them as police officers and scary. They're making contacts with residents. They're helping residents. I had one of our officers that helped a resident fix his truck up the other day because his truck stopped running. Those are the kinds of relationships that you want. But then they're there to keep you safe. They know they expect you to be in their neighborhood then, so they ultimately residents feel safer. And I think that it's definitely a model that we're going to continue to use, and it's a model, again, that every department nationwide is looking at.
When you guys were coming up with this idea, did you talk with the residents prior or apartment complexes to try and get their take or their opinions on how to make this city a little safer?
I'm not aware of that. We do have, as the city of Columbia, we do send out questionnaires on a yearly basis, and it essentially evaluates how comfortable residents feel with the communication from the city, with their public safety, with their road conditions, with all different aspects that the city provides. And one of the areas was that, public safety, there was still a concern for public safety. And so the idea is, how can we best meet these needs? And so I don't know that there was necessarily a poll saying, how would you best like to get your resources? But the idea is that you go back to the basics. Having that one-on-one connection with somebody is a lot more, it's a lot more proactive, and it's a lot more exciting than just seeing an officer drive through because they're going to a crime. So I think that overall, the idea just generally came along with our strategic plan, because in October, I'm not sure if you're aware, again, October is when we released our 2016 strategic plan as a city. And so with that, the idea again was those 3 neighborhoods were identified that we're going to be focusing several different resources from all city departments on. So as the police department, we said, okay, how can we play our role in this? The decision was made to increase the community outreach unit so that we can focus 2 officers every day on their shift to those areas.
So now just focusing on like spring break specifically, I spoke with someone from MUPD who said there hasn't really been an issue on campus, but for like apartment complexes or student residents, is there any communication back and forth to help these complexes make a decision on how to handle these or how to make their apartments a little safer?
We have an Office of Neighborhood Services, and we have a police officer that's a liaison for that office. And the idea is that they work directly with our apartment complexes within the city and let them know in most cases, hey, spring break's coming up. You can notify your residents to take proper prevention methods. I will tell you, last year we did face on the south side of Columbia there was an increase in burglaries.
Right.
And those are. I think the overall understanding was those were areas with high concentrations of student housing. And so those are duplexes. Those are places that, again, they may be rented out, but you don't have an actual apartment management saying, hey, put notes on your door saying, hey, be aware of this. So then what we did is we tried to take a proactive approach and notify those duplexes, notify areas. We put flyers up in the areas, make sure you are locking your doors, your windows, things like that. We also did a prevention video online that we put out on our YouTube page.
So compared to last year, where there was a little bit more burglaries and then a lot less this year, have you guys noticed a trend compared to different things you were doing, or does it just kind of vary on the year? How does it really work?
Yeah, crime rates, like I said, they regularly fluctuate, and so.
And is that the same way with other crimes as well? Is it all just
Absolutely.
up and down?
Absolutely, and so what we don't do is we don't take credit for those crimes going down because it could be a variable, various different factors that play into that. But I do think that it's important that we understand we all work together as a community.
Right.
And I think that that's something that we have done a better job of over the last few years is, again, getting the information out there, pushing the information out, and whether it be by our city source, whether it be by our social media, whether it be just by word of mouth, having our community outreach unit officers out there saying, hey, I saw your garage door was open, you should probably shut that just to prevent burglaries. Working together as a community, I think overall is really a reflection on what those numbers are going to look like.
So just to change topics a little bit, tell me more about your job specifically here at the police station.
Sure. I'm the Civilian Public Information Officer. I was brought in September of 2014. I come with a journalism background, and so part of what I get to do is to work on all of our media inquiries. So every morning we have 0700 requests, so the arrest inquiries from the night before, what happened. We send that information out. I handle all media interviews. I handle all social media. I manage our website. I help with Crime Stoppers to make sure that we get the most wanted people over to Crime Stoppers. And I do all of our videos. And so each day is different, and it's definitely important to get up and just be ready to face whatever's going to come my way.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. I'm looking. I don't think I have anything else. I think that was all the big information that I need. Thank you a lot for doing this. I really appreciate it.